I'm pretty excited to see what will they take this time around. We do see the Arden ban come out. No big surprise there.
Yeah, typical. Like, we've been seeing a lot of Arden bans in the tournament recently, and it's for good reason, right? Arden is such a good initiator, especially when he throws down that gauntlet. Everybody has like a small confusing time, like in which they have to like activate reflex blocks just to get out. Putting up a crucible for your entire team doesn't make it like necessarily easy to like get out of that gauntlet. And once everybody gets like disoriented, team fights happen, targets get deleted, and pretty much the game's over.
So this is a little bit surprising. BlH is the one that banned Arden, and SK Gaming is the one that banned their favorite Adagio. So why do you think that is?
Well, Adagio is like a very good ban too, because you don't want to give BlH that first ban. Like having that Adagio, they can build so much around it, going Rona or building up into like a pedal. Jungle pedal and Adagio is actually very good together. Being able to buff them up, buff up the minions, and just diving in straight. So the Adagio ban on SK Gaming was actually a really good decision on their part.
However, we do see BlH, they do take the Sky Humanist. This was a big pick for SK Gaming last time around, and it was a big pick for BlH in all their series. Do you think this is a priority pick? Do you think the Sky is the one that you should have taken first?
Well, the thing is, I think that they used this pick essentially a little bit like a ban. And they did a really good job there. So with Adagio being banned out by SK, of course, maybe BlH think that there are other heroes, right, that they might want to pick up. But by grabbing this guy, they deny it from SK, and that's a really good job by them.
Most certainly. So, Rome, what do you think SK's gaming picks are going to be?
I'm hoping to see a jungle crow this time, and I think they can actually play it out really well. We saw that a lot yesterday, but because they decided to go for Koshka, Fortress, they're probably going to go very aggressive in the early game, and this is actually working out really good. But how they approach this Sky is going to be really vital on whether they can control that first like 6 minutes or not.
Right, so this will be a little bit dangerous for them against that Sky. Sky will be able to rotate around the fight very, very easily, especially with the double melee coming out from Fortress and Koshka. Do you think we'll see the Ringo come out alongside those?
We might, but like on the other team, like BlH can choose a Rona right now, which actually fills out their perfect like comfort picks. And we've seen how they played this composition already, and we know how much damage it can do. It's going to be up to SK to like use those early game engagements, and they're going to have to play really smart. Because if they're not finishing this game early, in the end, like it's going to be very tough for them in the late game.
Most certainly. So this is the last pick. Will we see the very standard Ringo, Fortress, Koshka?
Ringo is actually pretty decent here, like, but they have to play it really well, because if they're picking a Ringo over like a Scarf or something that can carry into a late game, they're gambling everything in like the first 15 minutes. And if they can't finish this in 15 minutes, it's pretty much game over.
Right. Oh, we actually see the Saw come out, so this is going to be pretty interesting. Any thoughts on why they would choose Saw here?
They actually ran this exact same comp yesterday, and they won with it. Like, but instead they had Arden up in lane, trying to help secure that Saw with the Vanguards.
Yeah, so with the Saw, with the Fortress, with the Koshka, Saw is going to be able to do some serious damage to the side of BlH. When Rowan jumps in, when Catherine goes in, Saw is just going to mow them down. And Sky does not, she has a little bit longer range, but if she cannot get the 4 barrage on Saw, their entire team will melt.
Yeah, the only question I have with SK Gaming's comp is like, because they have a Fortress instead of an Arden, how much sustain is this Saw going to be able to have? Like, how long is he going to be able to live? I have a feeling that if BlH just dives on the Saw, like he's just going to get deleted later on.
Right, and we do have BlH with the Catherine, with the Sky, and the double stun coming out can be very, very detrimental for the Saw. If he is unable to keep up his spin-up stacks, he's not going to be able to do too much damage in these fights.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be up to like reflex blocks. This game is going to have a lot of reflex blocks coming out from Catherine and coming out from Koshka. Whoever reflex blocks their stuns, it's going to be like really nice skills to watch out for.
Most certainly. So, Forecourt Jester, what do you think? We have the Saw once again. Will SK Gaming take this game, or will BlH be the ones who will be the victors?
Well, it's a big thing. You know, there's no Vox. That was something that I guess I went and cursed. Yay, me. But you know, with that Saw, without that Arden, you know, as Rome is saying, I mean, he's now going to be the big pick. Yeah, with only one stun there with the Koshka, it's really up to them to kind of use the Koshka Fortress to get ahead. And we haven't really been seeing these early game aggression comps, you know, work, so to speak.
Right. So, Tasty Bacon, what are your predictions? And then take it away.
I still think that it's going to be BlH taking the 3rd place spot in this tournament. I do like the composition from SK Gaming, but with the Saw being put in there instead of Ringo, I'm not quite as confident in it as I would be if it was Ringo in that position. So I still feel like Blackhawk will have the advantage. Maybe not here in game 1. You know, we may end up seeing 3 games, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say Blackhawk.
Well, I mean, you have been actually rather right a whole bunch of times here. I mean, that is why we're calling you the caster blessing. But now coming
Except
into
for
this,
the second semifinal.
Well, yes, all right. Hey, you did once, but you know, not everybody's perfect, sir.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up at the analyst desk. Forecourt Jester, Tasty Bacon, take us into the game.
All right, so we are going to be getting underway here in just a couple of seconds. Third place match.
Yep.
It's, again, you know, not just
$1,500.
bragging rights, but also an extra $1,000 for whoever wins this one.
Now, you know, that being said, the best that these guys can get is bronze. But like when you go to the Olympics and you're the 3rd best in the world, it's still an accomplishment. So coming out here all the way to 3rd place here in Europe, it's definitely something of a calling card to put into your hat. And you know, again, like, these guys got to be very proud of what they have accomplished here this weekend.
And you have to keep in mind, you know, the VGL qualifier started with, you know, it was 64 teams in the tournament, but there was over 100 teams that signed up for this tournament. So that's a lot of teams that you beat out to get even to be in the finals here, but to now be in the top 4 teams in all of Europe. That is definitely an accomplishment.
Not quite the 1%, but they're looking to be the top 3. And as we get into this one, Blackhawk Gaming here is going to be on the left-hand side. SK Gaming to the right. Of course, Jetpacks is going to be on that Koshka. He has been doing some really good stuff there in the jungle and has that fortress for the babysit. Now, Sky up against Saw. How does that actually work out?
I mean, most of it's going to be actually pretty even for the most part because they both have that straight line attack. Obviously, Sky will be able to move around significantly more than what Saw can. However, with Saw, you know, if Sky gets in range of him, he's still going to be able to get plenty of damage onto her as she will have to retreat while he's just going to be perfectly happy standing still.
Well, as you can see here, Waldemar is actually now pushed up very far forward. MIQ and Jetpacks, they're going to be finding that Catherine into that bush. Bash is not looking so healthy, but can't actually get that last hit on him. So Catherine will actually live to fight another day. And now SK, they're going to be making a beeline there for those fronts. I do believe they actually did spawn. Rona's actually not even going to be out in the lane there either. So no real jungle presence right here for the Rona, for Bash. And Waldemar again pushing in forward. SK is definitely pushing very far forward. Look at the 800 versus 1.3K at the 1 minute mark. I mean, the creeping difference alone is fairly significant.
Yeah, Waldemar has 15, although he's going to take a ton of damage from that forward barrage, but that just evened up the hit points in this lane. Now looking at the minions, 17, 18 now for Waldemar compared to 7 for Cold Ice, but here's a big gank.
And that's going to be a nice equalization when it comes to the cash. Now Saw is going to have to take a little bit of a nap. MYQ is going to come up to lane. He'll babysit it for a bit, but it's going to be some nice pressure that can be applied there by Bash, by Rona. There's no way Fortress, I think, can actually dive onto that Sky. It's going to be about now trying to chase Jetpacks out, and if Sasika can come down here and actually pick up those backs, I mean, again, that's going to be going a long way to getting them back into this early game.
Yeah, they're going to go for this double camp, and not really a whole lot that Jetpacks is going to be able to do to try and steal this one away. He does try and go in. I couldn't tell if he actually got it or not, but now they have a small little fight. But Jetpacks should be able to walk away from that.
But still, I mean, that's at least one right there. MYQ is now going into you know, their own counter, and well, all right, it looks like he's going to be done with that adventure. Cold Ice is coming down, looking for a little bit of a shopping spree. Has only 15 creeps to her name, so she's not exactly going to get you know, that big payout, but she will now be able to go home happy with a heavy prism and boots, and the spirit boots are going to be kind of you know, very useful, especially against Jetpacks up against that fortress. Maybe not the Saw, but if we do jump on her, she will have a burst mobility for safety.
Oh my goodness, look at the damage that Waldemar is putting out though, just with the auto attacks. The stutter stepping on a Saw once he's fully spun up just makes his attack speed absolutely ridiculous, although he's eating a ton of damage.
Yes, he is. Yeah, look at Bash. He's going to go deep. Look at that merciless pursuit. Doesn't quite land it. Now, as we come back to it, the suppression fire is going to be okay. Jetpacks wasn't able to actually grab their first blood for SK Gaming, but Waldemar and Cold Ice, they just keep trading it back and forth. Koshka does go back in. They do actually pick up Bash. He stuck around a little bit too late, and now Waldemar, he's just going to have to back off for now. But again, points on the board for both teams. It's still SK more or less holding this early game advantage, 500 gold or so. It's not the end of the world, but they have come out swinging here in game 1.
Yeah, however, like Rome alluded to, they are expected to win the early game. They need to win the early game if they want to have a chance of winning the entire
expectations
game.
Versus actually needing to do something. Yeah, a little bit of a different thing right there.
Yeah, so they are going to be they have the small lead here, but again, the question is how much of a lead can they develop and build into before really the composition of Blackhawk catches up to them.
A lot of potions going down here in lane. Cold Ice is actually out of potions at this point. Waldemar does have that Book of Eulogies, so it's not as effective there for range, but it goes a long way, at least for this sustain. And he's been last hitting pretty much perfect. He's up to 47 score compared to the 28 there of our Sky, and of course she has not been doing well. The lane gank is going to get defeated here. Blackhawk not going to be really able to put any kind of pressure on top of Waldemar, but they do buy time for Sky to go home. And now Sasuke is going to be joining him out there as well, but still pressure is on in this lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the numbers now, 52 to 28 in terms of creep score. That is a massive, massive
Rather
difference.
impressive.
And now they're going to work on this turret. They may be able to just take this.
Now, with nobody out in lane, there's just except Bash. I mean, this early game, Catherine, all right, not exactly a huge threat. That is a heck of a lot of damage to be landing on a turret here at the 5-minute mark. And, you know, it has always been the Saw push comps that really do go for these early turrets.
Yeah, 5 minutes in to almost have that turret taken down. They are going to now retreat, make a trip down to the shop. See almost 2,500 gold in Waldemar's pocket, so he'll be very happy.
Yeah, the last thing you really want to see is a Fortress jumping on your face when you're alone. And level 3, they have vision in the bush, and the auto attacks are immense. Saw picks up the kill on top of Bash. And now in a 2v3 situation, we do have the death from above. Will that be enough for a Jetpack's kill? The red mist is not enough. Sasuke is just really trying to pick up Jetpacks, but the movement speed is going to do well. And the ultimate there from Waldemar. That is going to be a 3-kill turnaround. And Waldemar, will he actually survive through this gold mine? Low hit points abound, but a heck of a payout going over to SK Gaming.
Yeah, 168 gold payout as well as picking up 3 kills. That is huge for them. Waldemar, I love what he did there. They saw the opponents. They could have gone for the fight. Instead, he goes down, goes into the shop, buys himself a Sorrow Blade, and then initiated the fight. It was really, really smart.
The timing was absolutely perfect.
And it was crucial to it. If he doesn't have that Sorrow Blade, they probably lose that fight.
Well, this is now starting to look a little grim here for Blackhawk because not only were they not very successful in crushing out Waldemar, yeah, they got 1 kill, but overall, I mean, that turret is a little bit of a better story. Now he has 3 kills under his own belt. He is level 6. He is hitting like a truck with a Sorrow Blade at the 6-minute mark, and I'm not sure Blackhawk really has a response to that right now.
Yeah, you see even just the suppressing fire doing a good chunk of Cold Ice's HP. But now they are going to be playing a little bit safe as the rest of Blackhawk is here to try and defend this turret. It is so low, but they don't want to give up that extra gold. However, Jetpacks is just going around farming, but they're trying to get a gank into the lane.
Oh, that's actually a really nice slow setup there for Jetpacks to come in. Death from above will actually stun out MYQ. And, well, the Fort Barrage not exactly going to be enough to finish them off. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy on top of Cold Eyes, and that is going to be a kill right there. The Red Mist is a good idea, but it's going to be an impressive streak, and the ace going over to SK Gaming as they go 7-1 here this early game. The next minion wave, there it is. That's going to be it for the turret, and Waldemar has just been absolutely slaying in this lane.
Yeah, and Jetpacks there. It looked like MYQ was going to be going down. He was in so much trouble. Jetpacks getting that crucial Yummy Catnip Frenzy off to get the stun, get the suppression, and now they are looking to get the second turret down to the hit points of that first turret. Look how big that minion is.
Yeah, it's a big minion, but that's actually a big kill right there for Cold Ice. He found Waldemar, and the mobility and the movement speed there of Cold Ice definitely working out much better for Blackhawk right there. That's actually now their second kill, and both of those deaths have actually landed now on top of this Saw. Now into the bush, I mean, here comes those pack mates. The Red Mist is really trying to do work on the gold mine. It really is a 3v3, and Koshka and crew, there's 1, there's 2. Koshka's going to go for the hat trick, and MYQ is there to actually steal it from him, but it is another ace. The gold mine lived out of it. We had the candy on it eventually, and he was a very big part of that fight. Waldemar's going to come right back out of this lane, and they could even take, like, what, another turret right here.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get this turret because it is already so low. The minion candy also being used. That turret is
gone.
Yeah.
It did not live whatsoever. 10 kills to 2 and doubling your opponents in gold. SK Gaming are coming out swinging. They really want to be that number 3 here in Europe.
Yeah, and I guess, I was saying maybe they wouldn't be quite there mentally. They have definitely proved me wrong as they've come back from that devastating semifinal loss with a vengeance. And again, over a kill a minute. going over to SK Gaming at the moment.
No, they're absolutely flying here in this early game. The items just by themselves tell a heck of a story. Warhorn, Shiver Steel already, a reflex block for MYQ. A little bit early on, Gold Eyes, he now has that reflex block. Got kind of forced into it. Even started building it before that Frostburn came down. But Sorrow Blade on top of just a heck of a lot of crit now coming out from Waldemar. And Jetpacks, I mean, she's had that Aftershock for a bit, and it's paying off well.
Yeah, Aftershock, and then just building up some tanky items to be able to be playing more of that Bruiser Koshka, as the Crucible is in Jetpack's inventory, going to be adding extra defenses to the entire team with that one. They're just so far ahead at the moment, and they have complete control of the map. Like, this entire map pretty much belongs to SK. They have both minion mines now, so they're just going to look to continue shoving in, putting as much pressure as they can onto these turrets, and on the side of Blackhawk, they really have to rely on the wave clear of Gold Ice.
Wow.
But it's,
Yeah, Sasuke just gets melted right there. I mean, I didn't exactly expect that kind of level of damage, but I mean, there it is. Here comes the puppies. Bash is not going to be faring so well. They don't have Sasuke here as well, and Cold Ice is left to his own devices in front of the turret. That is going to be a 1-for-1. They did take down Waldemar, though. He did eat a lot of that forward barrage initially, so it was the same story between him and Sasuke. Of course, Sasuke very much closer to the fountain, had that option to abandon the fight, had that turret right there as well. So that was actually not the worst trade for Blackhawk, because now they get a little bit of cash and a little bit of a sigh of relief, because they're not going to get pushed in by this just absolutely dominant Saw.
yeah, it's a little bit of a respite for them, although the gold payout did go over to SK in the process. So, you take what you can get in a situation like that, the 1-for-1 trade. When you are behind in a game, going even on a fight is considered a victory because of the fact that you shouldn't be able to go even with your opponents at that point. So definitely, as you mentioned, a little bit of a sigh of relief, but how long is it going to last, as they're already pushing in with that Saw?
Well, remember, it's 11 minutes in. Death timers are not exactly the end-all here. So, yeah, I mean, a sigh of relief, you don't exactly hold your breath on it, but it was nice. All 3 deaths have actually been suffered through SK Gaming and Waldemar. I mean, Koshka's actually still sitting, 4-0-5 at this point. MYQ 3-0-7. I mean, between them, 10 kills participation, 9 kills participation. Only 7, though, for Waldemar, as I said. He has actually been suffering a few of those deaths. But still, the items don't lie. He has a Serpent's Mask to go with this. As long as Cold Eyes can keep poking like that, I mean, we might actually still be able to trade out early here for Blackhawk. But if they let that happen, they're just going to lose out this turret. And there goes Cold Eyes again. He's going to be the big target. Jetbacks with that Crucible. We had a double Crucible, would you believe? The turret is down. Waldemar's actually still standing. Cannot say the same for Bash. Those stutter stepping, just absolutely devastating lasers from Waldemar are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just melting through turrets, melting through opponents. It is so incredibly powerful when played properly, and this is the Saw that we like to see. It doesn't have the Adagio there to help increase the damage, but Waldemar does not need it.
So again, just looking at items, Bashan versus MYQ, that by itself is a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Bashan really just sitting on only that one fully completed, well, I guess 2 with the Warhorn, but still,
just picked it up now, yeah.
Yeah, Warhorn and Fountain of Renewal. Whereas you look at MYQ, Warhorn, Crucible, Shiver Steel, now also has a chronograph, going to be probably building into a clockwork just to get even more cooldown, get those wolves out even more frequently. It's a drastic difference.
Well, we're still sitting at 1 kill a minute here for SK Gaming. That will change here momentarily. But, with such a pace, with such an accelerated early game from SK Gaming, I was curious to see if we were going to have a new record on a fastest game. But now it looks like, unless this push is going to be the end-all right here, it might just come down to Kraken.
Yeah, and it's a smart way to play it out. Obviously, you don't want to go diving underneath the double turrets there. That's just way too risky, and it's a very good way to throw away a big lead that you've accumulated. So with Kraken spawning in less than 2 minutes, I definitely, I'm absolutely okay with the decision here to just wait it out. MYQ just picked up an Aftershock.
And Cold Ice actually also picked up Crystal Infusion. Their back is up against the wall. Any kind of advantage they can get for this defense is going to be great. And this is not the first time we've actually seen an Aftershock on our Romans. We had a Catherine yesterday. No, we had an Arden. Well, we had both with Aftershocks. Now a Fortress as well. I mean, we're just kind of completing the alphabet at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just getting that little bit of extra damage to help out. You know, obviously they're confident with their defense, but here comes potentially a fight.
Yeah, jetpacks I thought might actually be the big target for Collapse. We have a lot of traps now down as well. We're trying to make sure that we don't get a heck of a lot of damage on top of these turrets. Cold Ice again with this poke. It's really all we can afford at this point. As long as he keeps getting all those forward barrages, it's keeping SK Gaming at the side. But Cold Ice, he's got to be very careful. Waldemar hits like a truck. The suppressing fire is not really going to hit anything. And Waldemar, look at him. He's looking just for the zoning potential. It's something to say when you're stuck in your base. It's another when you're stuck in your shopping.
Yeah, and they're just putting on this pressure, waiting for these minions to come. They are going to take some damage here again from the forward barrage, but they're not getting anything off this. It's literally just there to make sure that Blackhawk had to stay in their base. That was all they were doing. They just wanted to ensure that there wasn't going to be any extra gold. As the immense gold payout comes out, Kraken will be up in less than 20 seconds, and we already see SK making their move over that way.
Yeah, an immense and a little bit of a tiny to go from this as well. It's not quite the factor of 2 between the teams, but it might as well be. 10,000 gold between them, and in 5 seconds, again, these guys are just going to start this up. Unfortunately, there's not really too much of an answer that Blackhawk can do here. They are still in their base. Their minions have actually pushed up. They have a bit of a sigh of relief, but again, this Kraken might actually just go straight down before they even get here.
Yeah, it's going to go down so quick. Waldemar picked up that Tyrant's Monocle just to get even more crits. They obviously have the infusions coming out now as well. So Kraken is going to go to SK, and I would absolutely expect this to just be a final push in and a pretty clean and easy game number 1 to SK Gaming.
Now, of course, MYQ just bounding forward, using that movement speed, seeing if there was anybody trying to poke their nose into their business. But by the end of it, it's, well, it's not quite as impressive as what Mowgli did at the pit, but that is a lot of green there on the map. Now, this is going to be the big defense. Can Blackhawk do this? They might get the kills, but they still got to deal with the Kraken. And, well, all the poke going back and forth hasn't really landed an end-all situation. Big crits on top of those turrets, and now a death from above. They're looking for Waldemar. He is able to use the reflex right through it. Jetpack's now low as well. MYQ really the only kind of guy healthy here, but a Yummy Catnip Frenzy trying to turn the ways here, but Red Mist and the Sky into the back. They pick up the sauce. Koshka, whoever returns, it's a double kill for Blackhawk, but that turret is now down and out. MYQ is still ticking here as well. And, well, he's not actually really the big threat. We do need to get rid of him at some point, but this turret is done. Not entirely too sure this is game, but that Kraken has definitely made its mark.
Yeah, both turrets are gone. Kraken is still beating away at this turret. They're trying to take it down. They are going to be able to get it in time. So again, game not quite over, but it's very, very close to being so.
How did so many scout traps survive that? That is what I want to know.
Well, I mean, it was mostly because a lot of the fight was outside of the scout trap area there. A lot of it happened.
You'd expect it, though, between 2 turrets and a Kraken. That's like the prime real estate area.
Yeah, but the problem is actually SK, they started that fight probably before they should have. They went in and started the fight up before Kraken was even in the base, and so they kind of had that fight between that destroyed turret at the entrance to the base and those scout traps. So none of them really got popped there, but they took a fight that honestly they could have just waited till Kraken was there and just won it. But here's a big fight in the middle.
Well, the puppies actually get stunned by the death from above. Yummy Catnip Frenzy from Jetpacks trying to keep Cold Ice on ice, but Waldemar and Sasiga doing in the back. MYQ is there to support, but I'm not entirely too sure SK Gaming is going to have this one. Sasiga is still ticking, and that is actually it for Koshka as well. MYQ now needs to be the only one that has to live, but can he live for 20 plus seconds to avoid this ace? My money is on no, especially with the mobility here of that Sky, and that is a 3-0 turnaround for Blackhawk.
Yeah, they still have all their turrets left alive, but that's about to change. 15 seconds until Jetpacks and Waldemar are up, and this is what we talked about before the game. It's an incredibly strong early game composition, but if you don't close out the game, it's going to turn south, and turn south very quickly.
So that's the second ace. A lot of cash into the pockets here of Blackhawk. And as well, I mean, the Kraken, that was 1,500 gold by itself. Yes, it got 2 turrets, and yes, it did put us into an endgame situation for SK Gaming. But now, if they do not clean this up, they could actually find themselves at the receiving end of the pain. And that actually could put them into a terrible mindset for game number 2.
Yeah, and that was 2 turrets just picked up there by Blackhawk. The gold difference is now about 4,000 gold. They have just completely turned this game upside down with those last couple of fights. And if they can continue to do so, again, they have the advantage at this point. Their team composition is just, they barely scraped by, but they did survive that early game. But here's a fight.
Yeah, Jetpacks again, he finds the party, goes right through. Sasuke now is the big target. They gotta keep him off Waldemar, and Waldemar unfortunately is just not having his day. There's Bash now, the merciless pursuit stuns Sasuke into it, and SK is going to actually lose out that Sky. There goes MYQ. No, never mind, Sasuke's not going to be able to pick him up. It was actually the Sky to go down. I do not see Jetpacks getting out of this, but that being said, he's going to be trying and running as quick as he can.
Able to jump those minions, not quite going to be able to outrun the Rona. However, MYQ did get back to base and did prevent the third ace coming out here. So will they be able to get this turret? I'm not quite sure. It is only MYQ to defend, so actually they should be able to. They have a pretty sizable minion wave, and of course, Rona just melting this turret.
She is doing the work that Blackhawk needs her to do right now. And MYQ, big props to him. I really did expect him to go down in that fight for that ace, but he survived. We split up. Koshka was able to just be out there far enough to avoid an ace situation, and MYQ coming out of that very handy for the team of SK, but that's, you know, if you think about it, that's two Crucibles and 2 Fountains, and SK is actually still losing these engages.
Yeah, and on top of that, now we have Kraken available on the map. This is going to be such a crucial objective, because really, with how long the death timers are getting, if a team gets an ace here and picks up Kraken, it's game over, regardless of who it is.
Even with that Tyrant's monocle coming out from Waldemar, I mean, just they don't have an answer to Sasuke. Even Jetpacks using Yummy Cat and Frenzy on him. And speaking of Jetpacks, he is just now not looking so hot in this one. Cold Ice is going to be chasing him down. The mobility factor is immense, but they didn't quite get him yet. There's the Yummy Cat and Frenzy, dies in the middle of it, and Waldemar, skin of his teeth, he is not going to be living through that one. Not with Sasuke right there and ready to go with another foe splitter. Now it's MYQ and Cold Ice, but they didn't do any damage to Blackhawk. They could actually go for the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. 30-second death timers. They have minions that they're pushing in with, those ace buff minions, and Blackhawk, they don't even need those minions as they're just melting down this turret right now. Tanking it up is Bash, and what a comeback. They hadn't taken a single turret when their crystal was exposed, and they completely turned the game around over the next 6 minutes and take game number 1. Blackhawk, what a performance.
Becoming a crowd MVP right there, and it was